Okay, so this is going to be an unbiased review of the game creator's newest product called GameGuru Max. Now, keep in mind this is an early access, but regardless of that, it should still be fairly workable and fairly usable for new users. Now, a little background, I first broke into game development, at least indie game development, back in 2016, actually with Game Guru, the original, which is now known as Game Guru Classic. It was my first time ever using any form of 3D software to make games. I had no knowledge before 3D modeling. Unlike today, I have actually pretty extensive knowledge of 3D modeling, texturing, things like that. And these days, I am completely have migrated over to the Unreal Engine, and that's solely what I use now. Now, you have to understand that this software was advertised for people who have don't have exactly extensive knowledge of programming or even 3D modeling or things like that, or they don't want to spend a significant amount of money, perhaps maybe in the Unreal Engine marketplace, uh, trying to buy preset template programs that allow them to make, say, such as a first-person horror game. Um, but as I when I bought this software today, it was, I believe the price was $49.99, which is kind of high considering the fact that Unreal Engine and Unity is free. Now, when you first open up the software, you're taken to this menu of demo games that you can review. That I'm guessing will give you a good sample of what you could make in this engine. Probably very basic games that you can develop. Actually, on Game Guru Max's official YouTube page, you can actually watch a few of these games, these demos themselves, if you're interested in looking at that right before then buying the software. So I'm going to go ahead and hit edit game. I've already created this project. Now, when you hit first create your project, they let you name your project name. And then you're taken to this game storyboard, which is actually pretty neat. It has a title screen, a loading screen, about screen, which I'm guessing you could put like credits in or maybe a little backstory on your game and what your game is about. I actually like this a lot. In comparison to the original Game Guru, you had to go in there manually and edit your menu. Now, that's not too big of a deal, but you have to remember that this system or this software, the original Game Guru Classic, was advertised as a very easy, beginner-friendly use engine. As you see here, you can edit your title screen, your start, load game. You can say change the name. Let's just say you want to say a new campaign, something like that, in the game, load, which is very instantaneous rather than the old painstaking way, which is actually very up to par with a lot of the modern game engines. A lot of modern game engines, for example, such as the Unreal Engine, they have the UI editor. It also has like blueprints to create UIs, which allows you to easily create menus such as this. But still, even in an engine like Unreal, you have to have some kind of understanding of how blueprints work, how to get your game started, such as how to load a level, or it's pretty simple in there, but still, how to load a level, how to save, you'd have to build your own settings, you'd have to build your own credits menu, essentially from scratch if you've ever used those engines. Unity has something similar, but they're both pretty easy. But I guess this is as easy as it gets. So I did some basic editings on the title screen, and now I'm going to probably jump right into the level designer right here. And when you open up your first level, the one that's created by default, you have this terrain generator. Looks pretty neat actually. Actually reminds me a lot of the Far Cry map editor. It actually not exact like it, but pretty similar. In fact, I would say the overall aspects of it, it looks kind of like the Far Cry editor. It looks like here you can change the editable area size. I'm guessing that's the playable area of the map. I guess anything outside that yellow bounds, your character wouldn't be able to go out of, is what I'm assuming. It's pretty cool too. Looks like you have some different terraform terrains. It's like you have a desert map, canyons, mountains. That's pretty neat. That is definitely a hell of a lot better than what the original engine had. You got snow, and looks like you can have an empty map if you just, maybe this would be pretty useful if you have a completely indoor map and you're importing all your 3D models. We're gonna do something very simple. I say let's do a forest. Probably gonna be the best bets to do a forest. Uh,
that size. Maybe there's even some advanced settings here. Looks like you can use your noise, fall off, your frequency of it. We're gonna do morning map and see how that goes. Also, something that looks pretty useful is you can actually have your own height map file. And I don't think you could have done that on the original Game Guru Classic. I'm not entirely sure, but I don't think you could have done that with the original one. So let's go ahead and name this. We'll just say primary map, and we'll just go ahead and do that and see how this is going to go. Okay, looks like we're in the editor now. It says your start to level, and looks like they've already put a character start right here in the level. Now keep in mind, I actually purposely downgraded my PC to do this review. That way I wanted to see what the minimum requirements would be. I'm actually running a pretty older video graphics card. Now I could see that this terrain editor could be a lot of fun. You could put a lot of objects into it pretty quickly. You could build all sorts of different environments with this kind of thing. We can go look at some, looks like they got game elements in already pre-built in there. We'll use a rock right here. We can build actually a pretty neat looking environment. It looks like right here too you can we'll use view all the type of rock, and we'll look at the different rocks that are available. It would be probably smart to delete some of this grass around these rocks here. This is pretty neat right here. You can go to customize the environment effects. You have a simulated sky, or you can have the skybox, which was original to the Game Guru. They have different skyboxes already at the ready. Stormy, sunny. These were a lot better than the original ones. They're not like top of the line, but they definitely look a lot better than Game Guru Classic. Let's see right here. Using a simulated sky, I guess this could be, you could do all sorts of stuff with this. Using your simulation sky right here. Use different ambient colors, which is pretty much just changing the ambience of the lighting effects on the objects itself. You can do all sorts of things with this right here. This weather effects right here could actually come in very useful handy. The original Game Guru you had to purchase on the asset store weather effects in order to get some weather effects, or you had to build them in yourself. This already has a pre-built one in here, which is pretty useful. And this is definitely going to help out a lot, giving your environment a pretty good different effects. This is significantly more useful than the original one. Maybe we should add an enemy and maybe some weapons here. Looks like they got various different enemies right here. We're just gonna go ahead and use, there's different zombies here too. This one doesn't look too bad. Looks like it might be someone that would be in this kind of level. We'll put this guy right here inside this map, inside this building. Let's run a test here. I want to see how the AI does, because let's be honest, the Game Guru Classics artificial intelligence was just straight trash. It was terrible. You could have bought some things on an asset store that helped improve the AI, but the fact that you even had to do that was just completely unnecessary. You could have also written your own AI scripts, but the whole point of Game Guru was supposed to be ease of use, up and running the moment you open it. It worked, sure, the engine worked, but looks like he's already spotted me. The animations are definitely a lot better than the original. He's definitely following me. I'm guessing when you build the map, it already has automatically a nav mesh into the map. Now, I might be using some terms that people may or may not already know, but basically, I think the nav mesh, the navigation mesh for the AI is already pre-built probably all throughout the map the moment you hit generate. They also have recoil effects. He's definitely a hell of a lot stronger than I thought he'd be, that's for sure. The AI seems to be better. I'm gonna have to add probably more different characters into here. It also looks like they already have pre-built allies. I'm pretty sure you can select any of your units to automatically make them an ally. But looks like this would be a lot easier to just drag someone in immediately and already have them as your ally, which is pretty neat to have that in case you want to make an RPG style game, which I'm assuming you would have some helpers into your game. We're gonna go ahead and add this guy too and see how this operates.
Is someone there? Intruder!
The ally definitely seems to help, which is pretty neat. Which would be pretty cool. I mean, if you want to make, say, a Resident Evil 4 style game, or a game where you have allies such as Far Cry 5, something like that, this would definitely be useful. Now, some would probably like to argue that Unreal Engine is free, Unity is free, you can do significantly more with those engines, you can build significantly more, and that is all true. That's not a false statement. What I think this engine is trying to do is take absolute beginners or people who just simply don't want to learn extensive amount of programming or extensive amount of 3D modeling, because let's face it, 3D modeling and programming, it's tough. And if you want to build something of actually high quality, you're going to actually have to delve deep into those concepts and really understand it. For example, like 3D modeling itself, if you want actual good quality 3D models, you're going to have to learn a lot about it. From the modeling to texturing, UV mapping, all sorts of things that you'll have to learn from scratch. Now, some people don't mind that, but others do. There's some people who simply want to make games and just release them out. Now, could you release a top-of-the-line AAA game on this engine? I don't know. I haven't really played with it much, but from first perspective look, first impression, probably not. But that doesn't mean you can't release a game that which you probably could, say for say sell on the Steam market. You could, if you put in enough effort, you put in all original content, you go in, you build everything from scratch, you could probably take a decent project and make something pretty decent with this engine. You have everything you already need. You have the level editor, you have a decent renderer, you have the AI available to you. Now, you could probably build upon the AI. I'm sure they're going to allow some development tools to be built in this system that will allow you to edit the AI and things like that. I'm pretty sure that would be something that they will definitely allow you to do. No problem. But the main issue with the original Game Guru was the amount of people who were just pumping out non-quality products. They're just flooding the Steam market with stuff that they clearly were not putting much effort into, and I guess they were trying to make a cash grab, if you would like to use that term, and as a cash grab just to make a little bit of money. But this one seems like it's more effort was definitely put into the engine itself. Now, I'm not saying it's top of the line. It's definitely not going to probably have the same graphics processing power, say something like Unreal Engine. I'm not too familiar with Unity. I've never really gotten too much in depth with Unity or that engine, but I'm pretty sure that maybe even Unity would have more advanced graphical processing power than this. Another thing I've noticed here is they've allowed a lot more effects on the environment. You have post-processing, you have your filter effects, which is pretty cool. You could actually use a post-processing volume on Unreal to create filter effects, but this one already has built-in filter effects that you can automatically use instantaneous on here, which is pretty neat. They're not the best looking. this could be pretty cool. Something like this would be pretty neat to build into your game if you want some type of, I don't know, a map about some character's past or something like that. This sepia tone too could do all sorts of things with that. So that's pretty neat that they built this in there. Up here, I could see this, what they have, what's called RPG games, puzzle games, and what we're already default to shooter games. From what I have read, these features, if you would select this, it would automatically pre-build your system to where you would have more, I guess, built-in programming. I guess it would give you automatic inventory, probably a basic level up system. Probably in the puzzle games, it will allow you, I don't know, a different interface, different UI, different interactive buttons, I'm guessing. Now, I would have hoped they could have waited just a little bit longer to release this system to where it's a little bit more fleshed out than what we're seeing here. But it does work in its full glory, and you can create a game. It's not nowhere near as broken as even the final stages of, let's say, Game Guru Classic. The final stages of it even were broken. It didn't matter how hard you tried. Now, there were some people that created some neat games out there with Game Guru Classic. Now, a neat little feature right here that this engine has, I'm guessing is what's called a character creator. Now, the original character creator on Game Guru Classic, I'm just going to say hands down, was terrible. It was an awful system. You could do almost nothing. Now, right here seems a lot more fleshed out. Let's see what we have here. You can choose the type. I'm guessing there's going to be more types later on down the road. I'm guessing with some of the expansion packs that they're going to be putting out there, things like that. Looks like you have different types you can put, and we're going to go ahead and customize this and see how in-depth this is getting. Now, of course, this is probably not the final product that they're wanting. They definitely put a lot better 3D models than the original. The original character creator was just terrible. I can't even stress that enough. It was awful. And this seems a lot more fleshed out. You can actually do more with it. Hopefully with the expansion packs, it's going to give you more options for that. Looks like you can already automatically start the character with a weapon. This will be pretty fun to use to quickly build a game. And it looks like here you'll be probably maybe customize animations later on, or at least the ones that you're going to be importing into. I'm not entirely sure how that's going to go. Looks like they have some matching outfits already, or at least an attempt at matching outfits into this editor, which is pretty neat. They have legs, and looks like they went next level with this one compared to the original. You can do glasses, of course, different hairstyles. Doesn't look like you can change the color of the hairstyles. Looks like there's already different presets of hair color styles. This feels a lot like it was influenced by a Far Cry, or at least an attempt of a Far Cry-like game, or basic Far Cry style game. Now, I don't know how much you can go into depth with like an open world style game here, but at least you're allowed to make different characters, very different degrees here. Now, I'm hoping, of course, there's going to be a lot more options, which I'm sure they're planning to down the road. We can save our character right here. It looks like it makes an automatic thumbnail of it, and I'll just say female right here, and we can just add that to object library, and I guess it goes straight to user, which is pretty neat. Now we already have that, and I guess we can drag and drop, and I'm guessing that artificial intelligence is already automated with the character creator. So let's see. Let's run it, see how this character. I don't think it's going to attack me. They might be.
What was that?
Started with neutral. Oh, it actually will attack me. I guess I have to change the AI. Being able to import your own models is probably going to be the single most useful thing in any game engine, period, without a doubt. I just made a very basic 3D model. Obviously, it doesn't have any of its textures either because I haven't exactly. Looks like here you can add its albedo, its normal, its roughness, all the settings that you're going to need. You could definitely change the scale, change the offset, I'm guessing from the pivot point, from the original pivot point. Now, granted, this is a terribly modeled 3D model. The textures, the UV mapping isn't built properly. The red topology, all that, it's not done properly on this 3D model. But I'm just using it as an example to see how effortlessly it probably would be to import models into this system compared to the original. The original, I did not like the way you imported models into that system. This one seems a lot more simple, gives you a lot more quicker options, things like that, which is pretty neat to use. Sorry, I meant actually UV mapping the object as well as clean meshes, things like that with the object. But as I was saying, this it's pretty useful that we can instantly import 3D models. I actually had a little bit of difficulty properly doing imports with GameGuru Classic, so it's really nice to see that they have a clean, simple importer that I could scale objects, and it looks like they build instant collisions on the object, so that's pretty neat. And it seems like it also has some of the effects that this is a little too bright, but some of the effects that you can use with your texturing, such as in Substance Painter. So that's good to know. That's a good thing to do. So overall, this engine is definitely a significantly improvement over the original. However, it doesn't seem that fleshed out, but it is doing what it was advertised to do, which is to build a simple game quickly and easily for beginners. And if you're pretty smart, you can actually use it for more advanced. Your more advanced users can do quite a bit with it. Now, of course, like obviously, we're not getting all the effects that we want, but and I also noticed that the sounds like your footsteps are different on the rock as compared to the grass. So that's good too. That's pretty neat. But overall, definitely an improvement. But I would like to see more improvements on here. The 3D models could definitely be improved. Obviously, there's going to be more settings, more modes that you can do. I'm guessing there's going to be more use for developers, for I'm guessing programming, things like that. And I didn't really get into the game elements. I'll definitely be looking at this later on and probably do a updated look on this engine as things are implemented into the system. That's definitely going to be something that's going to I'm going to have to take a look at later on and see what's going to happen. This prompt text might be pretty useful. Maybe let's see if some of this is. I'm guessing that's how you use that. I'm not entirely sure. Yep, it does right here. So I guess when you walk out of that text range, that could be very useful when making story-based materials into your game. I'm sure I can go more detail with all of the stuff that's in this system, this such as the particle system, the audio, things like that. I'm sure I can, but this is just basically running. I'm gonna have to look more into this engine. I'm gonna play around with it definitely a lot more before, and that way I can give a more positive review. Uh, Hopefully a more positive review. But overall, I'm not gonna say that this is a bad engine because that would be unjust. But the main issue that I would have, and I guess a lot of people would say, is there are engines out there that are free, such as the Unreal Engine or Unity, and there's even other engines too. I've even recently used an engine. It's not free either, known as the S2 engine, and it's not a bad engine either. They're pretty decent engines, but when you have competitors such as Unreal or Unity, it's hard to justify what these engines exactly are for. Now, if it's we're saying this for total beginners that want to break into the indie field, that don't like to program, that don't like to model, that don't like to get into the nitty gritty of building height maps or things like that, that don't like to get real in depth. They just want to have an idea, a story in their head that they've been wanting to get out for years now, probably since they were a kid, but they don't want to go full depth, make a game. then this is understandable. It's almost like a story writer or story maker that some people could treat this as, and which that under that circumstance, it makes sense. Now that fills a market need that allows people like that who don't want to do all that to use this engine and make a game. Not only that, it does seem to have more powerful uses, and honestly, it does get tiresome sometimes making model after model or building program after program, and sometimes you just want to have an idea out. This could definitely fill that gap in the market. However, even such, it's still hard to justify it because some systems, such as Unity, have complete engines within the engine, complete game templates that will allow you to build pretty advanced games like an RPG or adventure style game in their market. And so this is going to be, that's really hard to justify where exactly this engine fits. But if my 2 cents would definitely say it fits with the beginner along with a somewhat intermediate user that would want to make a game quickly or want to tell a story quickly. This engine can definitely do it. You could probably make some pretty decent walking simulators in here or decent horror games and maybe even a few good shooters and hopefully a few good shooters with some RPG elements or puzzle style elements and things like that. So I could see its use in that retrospect, but for an advanced hardcore engine, say making a title that you could sell, say $20 on Steam, I can't justify that just yet. Hopefully, if they flesh out the engine more, maybe I'll go back and say, yeah, you could probably do that. Because with Game Guru, it became infamous on Steam for doing terrible things like that, and that's what a lot of complaints was on Steam. Now, people on Steam are relentless. They're not gonna hold back just because, oh, you made it on Game Guru, so we got to accept it for what it is. There's people out there that they don't care what engine it is. They want to, if they spent money on it, they want a product that they can was fun, acceptable, and good for now, them. If you're interested in the engine, but you're not totally sure if you want to buy it yet, I recommend you looking at the Game Guru Max or Game Guru webpage, as I was looking it up on Google. That way you will know exactly what you're getting yourself into before you make a purchase. Now, can I say wholeheartedly recommend you buying it? I cannot recommend that because I don't know what your specifics of what you're looking for. Now, if you're trying to make a very groundbreaking next level game that you could sell for $30 on a Steam, that's just not going to happen with this engine. It's very unlikely that you're going to be able to do that, especially right now in its early access. Now, if it's completely and totally fleshed out, you would have to put in some serious effort to make a game that's, say, highly profitable or something like that. Now, that doesn't mean to say you can't make a game on here that isn't profitable, but so far as it stands, I can't really justify a $50 price tag. Now, I know that they're trying to build finances for this game engine. I understand that, but even then, $50 price tag is insanely high for what I saw so far in the engine, even in early access, which I'm still going to give them the benefit of the doubt and say hopefully that it's going to be a lot more fleshed out. I like the engine. It's a fun engine. It's definitely something that you can make something decent with, something playable, and something even fun. Maybe something you can make over on your weekends. Maybe publish on something, a website like GameJolt.com, things like that, and share with people. I could see the potential in that. But a $50 price tag for me is pretty darn steep for what the engine is. I know a lot of work went into it. I know a lot of effort went into it. I get that. But it's still pretty steep price. I mean, that's a lot of money for USD, by the way, is what the pricing is in. And I understand that, but it's still pretty steep. But if you would like, if you're interested, go on Steam, just look up Game Guru Max or just go to YouTube page and check it out for yourself.